In my previous videos, I've been talking about how to price really big high-end commercial jobs. And we went into spreadsheets, we looked at gear rental, all that sort of stuff, production costs, team, hire, how we bill it, how we license it. And it's pretty complicated, and there's a lot that goes into it. However, in this video, we're going to be looking at more of this sort of entry into commercial work, shooting for your local ad agency, your local chains. It's a step up from restaurant photography within the food world. And this price plan works for all genres of commercial photography. It's not just for food. It just so happens that I am a food photographer, but if you're a fashion photographer, if you're a sort of lifestyle photographer, whatever it may be, this sort of pricing will work for you. Now, in the UK, and I know that also in most of mainland Europe, there are some big agencies which sit up here, and sometimes there's a group that owns the agency, and they'll also buy smaller agencies in smaller towns and cities. And what will happen is when the big agency gets too much work, they'll pass that work down to a smaller agency. Now, the best way to get into big shooting is to start with the small agencies, end up doing a social media campaign for a big household brand, and then sort of progressing on from there. When you get approached by these agencies, there's sort of two tiers within them. There are those who have been there for a long time, they're at that level, they're happy at that level, and they know what they're doing. And there's those who are on their way up. They may have started off with just like a couple of Macs in a bedroom somewhere, and they've got an office and staff, and it could be their first ever photo shoot, and they have no idea what the price of milk is. So there's two ways to go about this. Now, first of all, you need to know your day rate. And in the UK, and I'm sure you can sort of translate this to other currencies, there's a couple of different day rates which suit this sort of work. There's your entry-level photographer at £500 a day. They get £500. That's what they do. It's nothing, they're not expecting miracles here. But if that's what they need, that's brilliant. Next up, you have your £1,200 a day photographer. They should be, well kitted out. They should have their own studio, and they should be able to produce something pretty interesting. And then you have your high-level photographer who'll be charging the £1,200 plus license fee. Now, I'm going to do a whole other video on license fees. If you want to learn about that, do hit subscribe, because that'll be coming up in the next few days or weeks. I can't quite work out my schedule. But for this particular example, I'm going to sort of go from the middle to the top end photographer within this area. So, day rates. I charge £1,200 a day creative fee. It changes actually, it's going through a change at the moment, and we'll see how it pans out after this whole pandemic. But £1,200 is a respectable fee in my country. Now, from that £1,200, in this sort of work, I'll be expected to provide my own assistant. Now, if you've seen the previous video, you'll know that the assistants come in as separate line items and they're not taxable to my agent. But in this particular instance, if you're working at this level, you probably don't have an agent yet. Or you're probably working towards having an agent. So all of that comes within it. So you've got your £1,200 lump sum here. You probably need £200 of that to go to your assistant. Maybe £100 for little bits you have to buy, maybe some little bits of card you might need, some food for the day, drinks, coffee, all that sort of stuff. And you'll probably have another £50 of, there's always some piece of kit that you need for a job that you don't have, whether it's a tether extension or a particular plate or a particular piece of grip. So when all is said and done, your £1,200 minus 200, minus 150, minus a few other bits here and there, you're probably looking at £700 for your day's work. Now, obviously, you've got your cost of running your business to take from that. So this is not a big money spinner. This is not, we're banking it right now. This is, we're making enough to get by and to make a living. £1,200 a day to a lot of people seems like a lot of money. But when you take into consideration, someone's just using the lift outside, that's annoying. I came in on a Sunday, especially to avoid this. There we go. But when you take into consideration how expensive photography is, these cameras are expensive. I've got a big iMac just here. I've got kit stacked up behind me. I'm looking at my screen to work out where it all is. But there's kit back there. It all costs money. Even a simple YouTube video like this, we've got a full frame camera, a prime lens. I've got a reflector board down here. I've got a mic up here, big light there, big reflector there. Got some curtains because it's so echoey in here. I'm trying to reduce the echo. All this stuff costs money. There's probably £600 of light stands around me. And that quickly eats away from that £1,200. So after a while of doing this and working at this level of £1,200 creative fee, you start to think, right, this isn't sustainable. This isn't enough money. I need more. And then you discover license fees. And license fees are for usage. So if you've ever looked at something like Getty, they don't pay the creative fee. They just pay license only. Stock photography is license only, but stock photography licensing is rubbish. Don't sell stock photography. It's a waste of your time unless you're with a good stock agency. Now, license fees are important. These agencies aren't probably going to be wanting to pay AOP standard rate. I'm going to pop a link to the AOP in my description because that is the calculator that we use in Europe, and I'm sure it relates to America as well, to work out what your usage fee should be based on your BUR, which is your business rate for the day. So my £1,200, then you go, right, if we want a point of sale, it'll be plus 100%. If we want it for 2 years, it'll be plus 150%. I'm making these numbers up at the moment, but that's the sort of way it works around here. So you go in there and you go, this is my day rate. And at this point, I start seeing my day rate as my production rate. My license fee is my profit, and that £1,200 is to get the job done. That covers my studio, the high-end cameras, the snazzy lenses, the big lights, knowing that if I drop and smash a camera and 3 lights, I can get another 3 lights out, another camera out, and carry on as if nothing has happened. This is the level where you need to get to make a good living in order to actually, not just be like, oh, we're breaking even, I've got a minimum wage job, which is £1,200 a day pretty much, but to be going, right, I'm actually getting £5,000 a day, 10 grand a day. This is where you start to go, yes, this now makes money. This is profitable. This is something that I can maintain as a business. And I know that £1,200 a day sounds like a lot, but you're not doing it every day. And not just that, but you have a lot of overhead. I'm shooting this on a 5DSR today because I couldn't find my 5D Mark IIs. But these cameras and things, they're expensive and they break and they need services. And my insurance is astronomical. There's all these overheads that rack up. Once a month, all of my fees for WeTransfer Pro, Dropbox Pro, because nobody can work them. You have to have different ones for different people. They come out. My Adobe full suite, my Capture One, that all comes out. My insurance, my indemnity, my liability, my rent, my business rates, my electric bills, water bill, all this stuff comes out and out and out. And then you've got to pay your assistants, your retouchers, your editors. And before you know it, you're spending £3,000 a month just on expenses. So I've already got some videos put together about how to get in touch with these agencies. I'm going to try and make it pop up at the end, or if not, I'll bang a link in the description because it turns out I'm rubbish at making stuff pop up at the end. And I think it's worth watching those because those videos will be great for this level of client. Now, if you want to know how to quote more locally, perhaps for restaurants, cafes, that sort of thing, I'm going to be doing a video on that next. And I'm hoping I can sort of explain to you how that world of business works and how you can make it work for you, what the pros and the cons are, how much you should charge, what you should deliver, and what you definitely shouldn't deliver. That'll all be in a video coming up later in the week. And I hope this has been of use to you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below or DM me on Instagram, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.